Only 4% of SaaS businesses ever achieve $1 million in ARR. It's even worse after that. Only 0.4% of SaaS businesses ever achieve 10 million in ARR. So that's the crazy stat. This begs the question, what are the founders that are actually achieving $1 million ARR doing right? And how are they navigating this process? For me personally, I've taken 2 companies from 0 to $1 million ARR and beyond. On top of that, as part of my SaaS go-to-market coaching programs, at the time of this filming, over 10 founders have actually exceeded that million ARR rate. That's nearly 12.9% of the people that I coach have already exceeded that mark and going beyond that. So in this episode, I'm going to walk you through the 3 principles that I consistently follow to actually build businesses and take them to that 1 million ARR mark. And on top of that, I'm going to share with you the most common mistakes that I see that I make sure that the founders that I'm coaching actually avoid. And when you actually learn these 3 principles and learn about these common mistakes, you will be able to navigate the path to this million ARR mark for SaaS businesses and accelerate your path to that next stage of growth. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS businesses faster with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you're new to this channel, welcome. I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches as an operator, as a SaaS coach, as being someone in the arena so that you can accelerate your path to that next stage of growth. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon. That way you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. Now, if you're already part of this community, if you're part of this channel, my people, welcome back. You may notice I'm in a slightly different set. I'm actually in London for 10 days. This entire year, every single month, I've been hosting a dinner with members of my SaaS go-to-market coaching program. We've done LA, we've done New York, we've done Austin, we've done Dallas, where I live, we've done Toronto, and London was next. I'm spending 10 days here meeting with all the founders that I coach and that I work with. And so this is a slightly different set. I'm actually filming from the road, but I didn't want to miss a beat, so I'm bringing you an episode live from London. But I'm really excited to have you here, and I'm really excited to be here. All right, so let's dig into this episode. When I was first starting my SaaS business, Kader, which was the last company that I took from 0, past $1 million, we were backed by Andreessen Horowitz and other venture capitalists, and then we exited to a market leader called Kader. That first time around, baby TK didn't really know the path to $1 million ARR. I studied the game as much as I could. I made a ton of mistakes, but it was one of those things where once you got to $1 million, it was incredible the number of opportunities and the number of doors that opened up. Now, having done that again with one of my other businesses, and I have 2 more SaaS companies that I own and operate that are on track to actually get to that $1 million ARR. And on top of that, having worked and coached at least 10 founders to counting today that have gone past that $1 million ARR mark, I'm going to share with you the 3 key principles you absolutely need to know about navigating this journey. Everything that I've learned and all the mistakes that I work to avoid and coach to avoid as I work with founders today. So if you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that, and so do we. Put a lot of love in these videos. And let's dig into principle number 1. So principle number 1 is what I call the first stage in the path to $1 million ARR. And this is also the first stage to just even starting a SaaS business. This is what I call the bumbling around period. The bumbling around period is something that I've done multiple times in my career. It always ended up happening when I was exiting some sort of a journey, when I was exiting a company that I started. And then I was thinking about what is the next move? What is the next idea? What is the next product? Is the market good? Is there an actual urgent, important problem that I'm solving? And I call this the bumbling around period because it is incredibly uncomfortable. A couple of characteristics that are perfectly fine during the bumbling around period. During the bumbling around period, you could be pursuing different ideas. So you could be testing multiple ideas, you could be going after multiple problems, and maybe you're hacking in, if you're an engineer, you're hacking together different solutions and different products. During the Toutapp journey, at the point where I was working to build Toutapp, I was also building 2 other SaaS products. And it was one of those cases where I was like, I think there are different opportunities here, so I'm just gonna bumble around. And one of the biggest mistakes that founders make is they force themselves to choose one idea way too early in the game. You almost don't want to get married to an idea. And a lot of times the gurus will tell you like, well, you should do one idea and stick to it and until it dies. True, but that actually comes at a later stage. Having done this multiple times and having worked with founders that went from the pre-founder stage to the founder stage to the million ARR stage to the scaling stage to upwards of 100 million in ARR stage, having worked with all those founders, this bumbling around period is super important because what it allows you to do is explore different ideas. And then it allows you to find out which idea, which problem, which market, which product, which opportunity is the best one to double down on. And that comes in later stages. And so if you're in that pre-founder stage where you're not quite sure what you're building, or if you should double down on one, if you don't have the data on one, if one is not pulling you, if the market's not pulling you, then you shouldn't force it on yourself. It's okay to stay in this bumbling around period. And that's stage number one. I personally stayed in the bumbling around period when I was first starting TowDApp and I was working on 2 or 3 other ideas. I was in the bumbling around period when I first started Unstoppable and I was trying to figure out what is the next thing that I really want to give to this world? What does the world really need? And because I stayed in that stage, even though it was uncomfortable and I kept feeling like, why isn't it working? Why isn't one of these working? Because I stayed in that, I was really able to hone in on an idea that I could go the distance with. And one of the biggest things that is kind of true is when you start to really land on a solid idea, a solid product, a solid potential business, the market pulls you. This was true in the case of Unstoppable. This was true in the case of TowDApp. This was true for all the founders, the 10 founders that got to $1 million ARR. It was true for them. They kind of bumbled around, and then there was one idea that the market pulled them into it. It got to a point where they couldn't ignore that idea because the market kept demanding more from them. And that was the case with TowDApp. I remember I was talking to a good friend of mine and TowDApp was starting to generate revenues. I was still in love with this other idea. And my friend, his name is Pete Curley, is a really good friend of mine. And I started one of my first companies with him. He was like, I don't know. On one hand, you're trying to push this product that no one wants. On the other hand, this product that you have, people are just clamoring for, and there's so much more you can do with it. So why not just give the market what it needs? But because I was in that bumbling around period, I was able to collect the data, and eventually the market told me, TK, this is the thing you should double down on. And this has been the case with every single product that I've taken to $1 million ARR. Even today, I operate SaaS companies. Some of them we're incubating, some of them are at revenue. And in those cases, we also see the same thing. We keep bumbling around, we keep testing, and eventually the market pulls the one that's the most effective. And you start to get a lot of data on which one you want to double down on. So stage number one, step number one, is to always embrace the bumbling around period. It's okay to pursue multiple ideas, but the key thing you want to understand is you want to make sure you keep an eye out for the market you're solving for, the urgent and important problem that the market needs a solution for. And most importantly, you're making sure that you're talking to at least 100 people in that market in this bumbling around period. You want to increase the number of customer conversations you're having as you're trying to figure out what problem you're solving for, what the solution is, and if there's enough of an opportunity. You want to make sure you're talking to at least 100 people, and that's the most important thing I make sure I do, and I get founders to do to really validate that, okay, we're going to be able to exit out of the bumbling around period, and we don't just stay stuck there and just make that as an excuse. Once you get through the bumbling around period, you should at least get to your first dollar. There's going to be a product where you earn your first dollar, or your first $100, or your first $1,000, or your first $100,000, depending on your deal sizes. That's the first piece. Once you earn some revenue, you're essentially exiting out of the bumbling around period, and then you get into step number 2. This second step is the momentum building period. Once you have revenues, that alone puts you in rarefied air, believe it or not. Earning $1 is one of the hardest things to do. To go from the $0 to $1 is one of the hardest things. Once you get past $1, then you know that there's a need for this, and you just need to find more people that are like that and validate that market, and which means you actually want to build as much momentum as possible. And that's what this phase is all about. So whenever I'm in that phase where we have a product and it's generating revenues, we're like, cool, let's build as much momentum as possible. And let's really figure out, what do we have here? A lot of times when you earn that first dollar, and I've seen this with companies at 100K, at 200K, one of the things is they're not quite sure what the opportunity truly is. Even for me with TowDApp, I wasn't fully sure what the opportunity was. I knew there was something there, people were paying for it, but I didn't see the bigger opportunity. So in this case, it's all about building as much momentum as possible. What that means is you pretty much say yes to everyone and everything. If you have something that people want, even in a smaller scale, there's gonna be enough people coming at you. So you just keep saying yes, keep getting into more conversations, keep signing up more customers, keep asking them for more feedback, keep getting them into rooms, keep going to more places where they hang out, keep going on the key channels where they hang out and posting about what problem you're solving and what you're doing. And you actually need to make sure that you're maxing out your existing network. Everyone in your existing network should know about this product that you have, what you're building for it, what problem you're solving, so you can tap out everyone you know that would need that product. And on top of that, you're getting into as many places as possible where you can spread the word about that product and get into more and more customer conversations, get more people into the product. There's a couple of important reasons for this, because in order to go from some revenues, and a lot of you watching this are probably at that stage where you have some revenues and you're looking to get to the third stage, which is $1 million in ARR. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to talk about some key pieces for that. The critical thing you need to do to get to that stage and do what you need to do for that stage is to collect as much data as possible. Because you're not really sure yet what is the urgent point problem. You're not really sure yet as what is the bigger opportunity that not only gets you to $1 million, but $100 million or even $1 billion in revenues. You're not sure yet on what segment of the market you should be focusing on. You're not sure yet on exactly how to describe the product. So this is where you are actually doing the momentum building. You're trying to build as much momentum as possible, make as much noise as possible. And one of the things I like to earmark is trying to get to at least 100K in annual recurring revenue as quickly as possible by building as much momentum as possible. In this stage, don't worry too much about the type of customer. Don't worry too much about the channels. Don't worry too much about the message. Just get as much out there as possible and get into as many conversations as possible to understand from the customer's mouth, like, hey, what do you love about this? How would you describe this to other people? Do you know other people that would use this? And keep sharing that in your existing networks to say, hey, we're working on this. We're really excited about it. If you need something like this, please let me know. We'd love to show you and we'd love to learn from you. You're trying to say yes to everything and build as much momentum so you can collect as much data as possible. And when you do that, and I've seen this over and over and over in my own businesses and the founders that I coach, you want to get your message out there. You want to get into as many channels. You want to keep saying yes to things. You want to build as much momentum as possible. You want to get the product in as many hands as possible. You want to embrace this founder-led go-to-market motions as much as possible so you can collect as much data as possible. And that's the piece that's going to help you actually scale. A lot of times people are thinking, okay, how do I build a very scalable machine? Or how do I do this in an easy way? Or how do I accelerate to $1 million? And what they do is they skip the middle step. The middle step is a step where you're building as much momentum, trying as many things. In a way, you're almost praying as much as possible and praying so that you can collect data. And this is not forever. This is not where you're just going to do this forever in an unwielding way. This is in a methodical way to, again, collect more data about who likes our product, how do they describe our product, what are they using it for, are our activation flows working? Meaning, once they get into the product, are they actually using it? Are we retaining them? These are all the things you're doing the meticulous work around to actually make sure you get that right. And when you're doing this, two things will happen. One, you're driving to this 100K in ARR. And two, you're strengthening the foundation. You're strengthening the foundation of how your product works. You're strengthening the foundation of how you can communicate the value of your product. You're strengthening the foundation of getting actual customer success stories of people that are the early users of the product and the benefit that they're getting from it. You're also strengthening the foundation of here's how we communicate what we do. One of the biggest things that I see, and this has happened to me and the other founders, is once they're going through this process of momentum building, they get a deeper understanding of the market. They get a deeper understanding of the customer experience. They get a deeper understanding of what the customers really need. And that allows them to actually build a better product. The roadmap for the product becomes clearer. It allows them to understand where in the market they're going to be performing in. It allows them to understand, okay, here's what the product is really solving for. All of these data points feed into this third step, which drives you to $1 million in ARR. And this is the crucial step. Companies continuously fail. They call this the valley of death. Only 4% succeed to $1 million because the rest of them don't think about this momentum building phase. They don't embrace the go-to-market. They don't build the momentum on as many channels as possible and get out there as much as possible to make sure that they're collecting as much data as possible. Because companies don't do that, because founders don't embrace that go-to-market piece, they never end up getting enough insights, and therefore they're never able to actually break through. And even worse, in some cases, they try to prematurely scale, which ends up neither here nor there because they don't really have that foundation built. So that's principle number 2, step number 2. You want to be in the momentum building phase, and the benchmark for this is you want to get to at least 100K in ARR. Before I go to the third piece, which is what gets you from the 100K to a million as fast as possible, and I've done this over and over, let me just pause here for a second. Are you starting to see the power in this? Are you starting to see the power in this journey? Are you starting to see some points on why 96% of people never get it to that million, but 4% do? But if you start to apply some of these principles, including the third one that I'm about to tell you, you are going to increase the chances of your success and actually hit that million ARR. If you're starting to see the power in this, can I just get a yes in the comments below? And also, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that. Also, if you're in this stage where you're like, okay, TK, we have some revenues and we really want to get to 1 million, and we really want to know how to embrace go-to-market, get more customer conversations going, build the momentum, and then scale to 1 million, and you want help in implementing these pieces, I've done this multiple times. I've helped over 10 founders successfully get to that 1 million ARR, and helping even more today. Then I encourage you to check out my SaaS go-to-market coaching program. You don't have to go anywhere right now. I'll link to it below. I'll tell you more about it at the end of this episode. Let's go to principle number 3, which brings this all together. Also, while you're at it, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that. So do we. We put a lot of love into these videos. Principle number 3 is where you double down. This is where you actually double down to 1 million ARR. And a lot of founders also make this mistake. I think that the biggest mistakes happen when founders exit bumbling around too quickly or not at the right time, when they skip this momentum building phase. And they also make the mistake where when they don't move to the doubling down phase aggressively enough. Let's play this out. You first bumble around and you start to get some data, and then the market pulls you. The market pulls you, so you then say, cool, let's double down on this thing. Let's build as much momentum as possible and collect data, as much data as possible. Once you have started collecting data, it's also equally important to double down when you start getting that data on some critical things so you can scale. And the biggest mistake that I see when people are in the momentum building phase and they're trying to get to 1 million ARR is they don't switch to the doubling down phase. Now, let's describe what the doubling down phase looks like, and then we'll talk about when you need to exit the momentum building phase. The doubling down phase is where you switch away from saying yes to everything and everyone. You probably got to 100K in ARR, and it's got a mixed basket of customers. Maybe you actually got to that by just your existing network, and you're now tapping out of your existing network. So you've got a whole different type of customers, maybe a bunch of different value props, maybe a couple of different features. It's a mess. It's a whole basket. The critical thing at this stage, if you want to stand a chance at hitting that 1 million ARR, is to find the patterns. And this is where a scalable go-to-market strategy really comes in. In fact, a lot of founders that come to work with me in my coaching program have already validated, like, okay, the market wants this, but it's a mixed bag of revenue, and we're tapped out on our existing network, and we need a more scalable channel. And that's when we really do our magic in the go-to-market program. So in this stage, the key is to actually double down. And specifically, you actually want to be doubling down on one ideal customer profile. You want to be doubling down on one message. You want to be doubling down on 1 to 2 channels. Most importantly, you want to be doubling down on one product. This is one of the critical components to actually being successful in reaching that 1 million in ARR. You have to exit out of the say yes to everything zone and your existing network zone and just trying to get as much revenue as possible, not worrying about the type of customer or what aspect of the product they're using, to actually focusing in on the biggest pattern that you're seeing. And that's the doubling down phase. It's when you double down when everything starts to come together. That's when you start to build that scalable go-to-market machine, that scalable distribution where you have one ICP, one message, one product, and 1 to 2 channels, and you're just focused and ruthlessly executing. And that's what allows these companies to just rail through to that 1 million in ARR. And that's the power in actually achieving the 1 million in ARR, because once you get to that 1 million, you're so focused, you're now able to scale those channels and actually get to 3 million and 10 million and beyond. And that's the power in this. A lot of people stay stuck in the momentum building phase. They stay stuck in like the existing network, hoping and spraying and praying. And that's a fine thing to do to a point, to really say, okay, there's something here. But then you actually have to switch to the doubling down phase aggressively. And you actually have to have the focus and the discipline to say, okay, here's the product. Here's the most lucrative ICP. Here's the compelling message on how we get that ICP. Here's the channel that ICP hangs out. And here's how we're going to scale it to get to $1 million in ARR. And here's how we're going to own it to make sure we do that. One of the other critical things that I've seen is in this stage where founders have some revenues and are trying to get to the million, the founders that go wrong are the ones that try to outsource sales and marketing. They say, okay, we have some revenues, maybe we raise some money, we're gonna hire that fractional CMO, we're gonna hire that agency, and they're gonna take care of our go-to-market, and we're gonna get to $1 million. Those always fail. It's the founders that embraced the go-to-market. It's the founders that owned the go-to-market and said, cool, we're going to do this. We're going to figure this out. We're going to do it. We're going to stay close to the customer conversations. They are able to actually achieve that $1 million in ARR, be part of that 4% that actually get to that $1 million in ARR for B2B SaaS companies. One of the incredible stats that I found, we were looking at our data and our cohorts, 12.9% of the founders that I've worked with actually hit $1 million in ARR from the cohorts that we looked at. And that's way above the 4% industry average. And the reason for that is very simple. I looked at it, I talked through it with my team. It's because the founders embraced go-to-market, embraced distribution, and actually said, okay, let's go figure this out. And guess what? All of those founders, once they got to $1 million, they were able to raise follow-on rounds or they achieved profitability, and they were able to hire go-to-market experts so that they could hand over the reins of a working machine and scale. But in that path to $1 million, because they actually embraced founder-led go-to-market, they were able to stay close to the customer conversations. They were able to iterate on their go-to-market strategy, the messaging, the ICP, that machine. They were able to adapt the product that much faster. The CTOs were even more empowered because they were listening to the customer conversations and they were able to build a roadmap and build a product that truly fitted the needs of the market, and that allowed them to propel things forward faster than anyone else and rise above the competition. And that is the power of this whole 3-step process. So let's recap. When you are working from 0 to $1 million in ARR, only 4% of B2B SaaS companies succeed. But if you want to be actually above average and you want to increase your chances of succeeding to that $1 million in ARR, if you want to stack the deck towards you, here are the 3 steps to follow. Number 1, have a bumbling around period. It's okay to be bumbling around. Test different ideas and let the market pull you into the idea and the product that is the most important and urgent in the market. Once you exit out of the bumbling around period, you want to be in the momentum building period. In the momentum building period, you have some revenues. You want to get to at least 100 to 250K in ARR. You do this by tapping out your existing network, saturating the social channels you're on, and trying to get as many customers as possible, get into as many customer conversations as possible, and actually collect all the data and the patterns so you can figure out where the heat is. Once you have that kind of revenue, once you know, okay, there's a product market fit here at this stage, we're starting to see some patterns in the customer base, we really want to scale it. Do not get that fractional CMO or that agency and try to outsource it. You will fail. Own the founder-led go-to-market and enter into the double down phase. The double down phase is where you really do the work with you and your co-founder and your team to double down on one ICP, one message, one manifesto, one product, 1 to 2 channels, and just sell as aggressively as possible in the best way possible, and use the customer conversations to not only close deals, but build a better product. And that will propel you to that $1 million in ARR. And best of all, because you've done it that way, as you get more resources, as you raise more funding or get more profitability, you can then hire experts into your team, into your working machine, so you can hand that over and say, cool, let's scale to 3 million and 10 million. And that's the power of this double down phase. And so now you know the 3 key principles, the 3 key stages that I have embraced, that I've learned from my own journey, that I now coach founders on to actually go from 0 to $1 million in ARR. The key mistakes to avoid and the key phases to go through and force yourself through so that you're more likely to actually hit that 1 million in ARR. And that's what I want for you and as many founders as part of this unstoppable community. I want to increase the success rate. Instead of 4%, we want to be at the 12.9%. We even want to be at 20%. And that's why I'm sharing this video and these 3 steps with you. And now you know the 3 stages that you go through. What you may not know is, all right, TK, how do I actually get my message out there? How do I attract more people in my network? How do I go beyond my network into the product? How do I get into these customer conversations? How do I start to build that go-to-market strategy so that I can get more leads and get more pipeline and get into more customer conversations? As I'm building momentum, how do I actually use the social channels to generate pipeline and awareness so we can get into these customer conversations? Maybe you're already at that point where you have enough revenues and you're like, TK, it's time for this double down phase. How do you actually build your ideal customer profile and double down on the most lucrative market? How do you craft a message so that you attract that specific market? Which channel do you double down on, and how do you build that scalable go-to-market strategy? This is exactly what I work on all day long with SaaS founders like you inside of my SaaS go-to-market coaching program. It's an incredible program. It's where I work with you to actually build out your go-to-market strategy, your founder-led go-to-market strategy. And it's where I actually teach you what data to collect to find the patterns, and then exactly how to double down so you can scale to that million in ARR and beyond. And we've had enough founders go through this process where they hit 1 million and then went to 3 million, where they had to hire people. So in the program, I also teach you exactly who to hire, what to watch out for, in what order to hire, and how to recruit them. And that's an incredible part of the program as well. So specifically inside of the go-to-market program, we focus on 3 things. We focus on what's your ideal customer profile going to be, what's the messaging and the manifesto going to be? And once you have your ICP and manifesto in these different stages, I then teach you how to run a Broadway show, a consistent set of sales and marketing activities that you can use to generate leads and generate pipeline and get into as many customer conversations as possible. So you can get data, you can close deals, and you build a better product. You can accelerate your path to 1 million in ARR and beyond. It's an incredible program. If you'd like to work together, just go to tkkader.com/GTM. tkkader.com/GTM. And on that page, you'll get all the details about the program. Now, the better the fit, the better the results. So the way it works is you fill out a little form and you get a little call with us. On that call, we'll talk through exactly where you are, what you're working on, what you're struggling with. And if it sounds like it's a fit for my program and we can work together, then we're off to the races right away. And I work with you to make sure that you are navigating these 3 stages in the most effective way with the next steps totally defined so it's easy for you to follow and own so you can accelerate your path to that next stage of growth. So just go to tkkader.com/GTM. If you got value from this video, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that. Also, so do we. We put a lot of love in these videos, which is why even when I'm traveling to meet clients and members of my go-to-market program, when we're hosting events, I'm still doing these videos on the road because I want to serve as many founders as possible like you and share the learnings that I've learned. If you are new to this channel, if you haven't subscribed yet, I drop an episode every single Sunday without fail with actionable strategies and tactics on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon. You'll get notified every single time I drop an episode. If you have a fellow co-founder, if you have a team member, if you're part of a Slack group, a WhatsApp group with other SaaS founders, you'll get value from this video. Please share this video with them. It'll just mean the world to us. Also, lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode or inside of the SaaS Go-to-Market Coaching Program. Take care, everybody. Hi, I have the do not disturb. Yeah, that you are pursuing.